Hello and welcome to Drew Manchu's Comic Book Reviews. I'm your host, Drew Manchu, and today we're going to be taking a look at Powers of 10, number 5. Charles Xavier's plan to establish Krakoa as a sovereign mutant nation is all coming together. Through the diplomatic work of Emma Frost, the United Nations has accepted Krakoa, and Xavier has brought all the villains into the fold. His plans to boost the mutant population are much bolder than he has been in the past, and he has developed the means to recreate an exact replica of any mutant, genetically and psychically. Their very essence, their personality, their memories, their soul. Through the genetic work of Mr. Sinister and modifications to Cerebro combined with the powers of the Five, Xavier has the very means to create life. Powers of 10 has helped to show this story unfold through depicting 4 separate timelines. 10 years ago, the recent past, 100 years into the future of Moira X's 9th life, and 1,000 years into the future. We're left to assume that the first 2 timelines, 10 years ago and now, are the 10th life of Moira X. But there has been little talk of which life we're seeing in the far-flung future of year 1000, the future that has the barely biological remnants of humanity seeking ascension of the world mind of Nimbus into the Phalanx. The Elder downloaded himself into an empty machine, which was offered to the Phalanx to try to work around the fact that they will not take biological matter. The Phalanx has accepted, and now we wait to see exactly what that means. Powers of X number 5 opens with Xavier meeting with Forge about upgrading Cerebro. After designing the system himself, Xavier has relied on the genius-level intellect of Henry McCoy to upgrade each iteration of Cerebro. But with the upcoming task of copying and storing the consciousness of every mutant that has ever lived, Beast sees Cerebro at its technical limits. And when Beast is stumped on a problem with hardware, Xavier turns to the X-Men's tech specialist. And so we get the Birth of Cerebro 7.0 in year 0. Jumping forward to year 10, we see Emma Frost walking through the Louvre, enjoying some art, when she sends out a psychic message for everyone to leave. The crowd pours out of the museum, leaving her alone in the shadow of the Nike Samothrace until Xavier shows himself. She remarks that she saw him stalking her earlier, but that this spot in particular was more fitting for a meeting. Magneto then shows himself as well, and Emma knows that if she sees the two of them together, that means that this is going to be something either incredibly heroic or terrifyingly reckless. Xavier quips that it's probably both, before revealing his plans to utilize the pharmaceuticals to leverage the establishment of Krakoa as a mutant nation-state. He wants Emma to help in the forming of a mutant government, and he needs the reach of the Hellfire Club to keep the distribution of the Krakoan miracle drugs a fully mutant operation. In return, Xavier is offering 2 seats on the 12-person council that will be the first government of Krakoa. Emma is a tough sell. She hears about an all-mutant island and immediately thinks of Genosha and the genocide. She hears government and thinks it's a pipe dream, but Xavier and Magneto pull out the big guns and take her to Krakoa, and upon seeing the island for herself, she is instantly swayed. One more time, she says, for the children. But she wants to know why they're offering 2 seats on the council. You see, Xavier needs her to bring back Sebastian Shaw as the Black King of the Hellfire Club, the White Queen as the public face of legitimate business, and the Black King to run the Black Book operations in the countries that reject their sovereignty. Emma agrees, but if she's going to be bringing back the Black King, she's going to need 3 seats on that council. Remaining in the year 10 timeline, we're treated to Xavier's call to arms for mutantdom, his open invitation to join Krakoa, and we're treated to a look at one response in particular, the emphatic and resounding refusal of Namor. The Submariner says that the real reason that Xavier is forming this nation, in this manner, with an open invitation to the villainous mutants, has to be that he has realized that they are not humans, and that humans hate them for their superiority. He says it's good that he has come to this conclusion, but look at him. He is no stranger to feeling superior, and he does not believe that Xavier feels the same way too. In the year 1000, the Elder awaits the terms of ascension from the Phalanx, and the embodiment of the Phalanx destroys and absorbs the Elder on the spot. Later, the librarian asks Nimrod why, and Nimrod says that there's not really enough data to make an error-free projection. And his best guess is that as humanity evolved, so did the machines. They were built to improve. Together, they've harnessed the entire power of Nimbus and formed a world mind. But on a universal scale, that means nothing, unlike the Phalanx. Thinking machines on Nimbus are composed of smaller, self-improving, self-replicating machines. The Phalanx, the same, more sophisticated, but similar. Theoretically, the masters of the Phalanx are also machines made of machines, but probably constructed with the fundamental components of the universe. Elementary matter, universal particles. These constructs would be massively dense machine brains that would dwarf any thinking machine we could possibly imagine. But how dense are they? Could they become dense enough to collapse space and time around themselves, becoming singularities? This is Titan theory. It states that the heart of every black hole in the universe, there's actually a supermassive machine brain containing the collective intelligence of a society so advanced that it collapsed inside of itself. But Nimrod postulates that every singularity is a black hole, and a black hole is just a wormhole, a bridge from one singularity to the next. He says that you have to consider every possible black hole isn't just a separate machine, it's all one machine stretching itself across the entirety of the known universe. One giant societal intelligence so far beyond us, it might as well be the god mankind spent so much time looking for. That the Phalanx itself is built to consume worthy cultures and add that consumed society to itself. And Nimbus is going to be consumed, but the energy cost that it's going to take is monumental. So when they add the collective intelligence of Nimbus to their own, the history and the consciousness of the planet will live on forever. But in doing so, they will feed, consuming the entire planet and leaving nothing behind. What a boon Jonathan Hickman has been for the X-Men so far. We're getting a 12-issue maxi series with alternating titles that are really helping this story unfold in a bunch of different ways on a bunch of different levels, and this iteration is no different. While House of X is more straightforward in telling the story of now, Powers of 10 gives us the ability to jump around timelines and really explore the cause and effect of a lot of different things. We're starting to get to see how the Krakoan government comes together here with the Council, and we're also given more detail on the creation of Cerebro 7.0 and how Charles is able to collect all these consciousnesses of all these mutants. And there's some really great stuff in the info pages as well. Forge, who's a master of all technology, has really had a chance to grasp onto the Krakoan technology. So he's becoming just as fluent in biological technology as he has been in actual technology all these years. It's noted that a revolution in Krakoan technology is imminent. It's coming. It's going to be all over the place here. We're also given more detail as to how Cerebro 7.0 works with this process. The backup of each mutant essence, as it is, takes about 3 hours. And once a year, Xavier does a hard backup, which takes 3 days straight where he cannot be interrupted. Also, in a real big bit of foreshadowing here, we're told about a mind and a husk that are not their own being combined, and how this would probably result in death if the subject host body didn't have some sort of secondary power that would help them in this arena. Healing factor, or maybe a psychic acuity that can help them reconcile these things. This is something that may come into play in the future, and I'm really excited to see how that unfolds. It's also said that a telepath can technically download a legacy version of their own mind, or a previous version of their own mind, to change their own personality or erase something from their memory, or to maybe just change their perspective on things. And I don't know how this is all going to work out, but it is said here that Xavier has done this twice. He's done it twice. And that being said, a lot of people have questioned, is this Xavier? Which Xavier is this? He doesn't strike me as an Xavier that I would know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's a previous version of Xavier that we've never gotten a chance to get a hold of before. This is an interesting storytelling point for Hickman, laying out the mystery of who Xavier is, even though he is saying that he is Xavier. Emma Frost is one of my favorite characters within the X-Men, and I absolutely love her in this story so far. She showed up to basically bail Sabretooth out of superhuman jail and bring him back to Krakoa. She was a super sassy, super sexy badass when she did that, and here we get a really great conversation with her in the Louvre. We get that conversation in the shadow of the Nike of Samothrace. Really cool imagery there. She is also known as the Winged Victory of Samothrace. Nike is the Greek goddess of victory, and she stands there to celebrate Emma as a powerful woman, and also at the same time to represent mutant victory that is impending after this meeting. I also think it's a beautiful nod that Emma says that she's going to do it for the children. Although she has been a villain throughout the history of X-Men comics, she's also been an ally to the mutants at every turn and has made it her responsibility to prepare the next generation of mutants for what is to come, no matter what that may be. She's done that as the headmistress of the Massachusetts Academy, training the Hellions, and Generation X, worked with the New Mutants and the New X-Men, the Young X-Men, as the co-headmistress of the Charles Xavier School with Cyclops. Every chance that she gets, she is taken to provide a future for these kids. And it's ingrained in her character that she's a very protective, maternal type with these children, no matter how harsh she may be as a teacher. Emma has always done it for the children, and like Wu-Tang, she's doing this for the children. I like the reveal that they're going to need a Black King of the Hellfire Club. Magneto says they're going to use him in the countries that disagree with them to get the drugs in and get these people dependent upon the Krakoan miracle drugs and to get the mutants out of those countries. Emma refers to the Hellfire Club as the East India Trading Company of Mutantdom, and she likes the taste of that, and I do too. I think that's a really cool analogy to make. And it's a really cool reach for her to negotiate for an extra seat on the council. I'm excited to see who she wants to put in that extra seat on the council. The council itself, the Council of Krikawa, has 12 seats and 2 overseers, the overseers being Krakoa himself and Cypher. So far, only 4 members of the council have been revealed, being Charles, Magneto, Sebastian Shaw, and the White Queen Emma Frost, so we're going to get to see who the other members of this government are moving forward. I can't wait for that to be revealed. And I think it was a really nice touch for them to jump to Namor, and it's good to see that Atlantis wasn't kept out of the conversation. Namor has been considered a mutant, so it's good to see Xavier reaching out to him, and it's even better to see Namor being his smug self and throwing a little bit of shade in Xavier's face. He doesn't exactly trust that Xavier is telling everybody his full plan, and so far Xavier hasn't been telling anybody his full plan, so why would we be surprised that he's got another trick up his sleeve? But I love what Namor says here. Do I strike you as somebody who's just now realized how much better than everybody else that I am? I also think it's great that Hickman has carried over the current vibe that Namor has had in the Avengers, and I hope that that means we're going to get more involvement from the larger Marvel Universe on this one. As far as the year 1000 in this issue, holy heady Hickman, this is a lot to unpack. The info page helps us to decipher a lot of this stuff that he's got going on in here, but he spells it out pretty well. Titans are the masters of the Phalanx. The Titan is a computer brain so dense with information that it's collapsed in upon itself and become a singularity, a black hole. A collection of like 5 or fewer Titans is known as a stronghold, and a stronghold's goal is always to expand and conquer, eventually becoming a dominion, which is 10 or more connected Titans, a network of Titans. It's worth noting here that the dominions themselves are godlike. In the same way that any myth or religion has a god, these are machine gods. And it also notes that the only threats to dominions are the World Eater Galactus and the Phoenix Force. R.B. Silva's art in this issue is just phenomenal. There's a lot of really great imagery from the Winged Victory of Samothrace. I also loved this lesson in Titan theory to the librarian from Nimrod. It takes place under what appears to be a learning tree, which appears to be Krakoan almost in its structure. These twisting vines of technology on this tree-like trunk of machinery is pretty darn cool, and maybe that ties back into the Krakoan technology that Forge is experimenting with to create Cerebro 7.0 and basically optimize the island of Krakoa. We're 10 issues into a 12-issue story, and I'm still getting world-building vibes from this whole deal. I think that this is definitely all going to culminate as an alpha issue to set up the entirety of the X-Men universe moving forward. I'm excited for every reveal that we get, the Council, who is on the Council, what kind of Krakoan technology are we looking at in the future here? Is it all tied to the year 1000 and the ascension of the world mind Nimbus? Are these even the 10th life of Moira X? Are we maybe getting a glimpse at another life in the far-flung future? Who knows? This is a whole lot of really great stuff here. Hickman is filling in the gaps as he goes, and he keeps jumping back and forth in a way that keeps us salivating for more. This right here is a 5 out of 5. Perfect book. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That way you know anytime the Comic Corps is going live. Alternatively, if you'd like to support us monetarily, you can buy some of our Comic Corps t-shirts. They're available on our TeePublic store. Click the link in the description below, or just go to the TeePublic website, type in Comic Corps, and then shop till you drop. Do you have a hot date coming up? Maybe a job interview? We're putting up new designs all the time. You can check out this Drew Man Chew Bebe t-shirt. Impress your friends, your neighbors, and potential employers with your style. They're available in a plethora of different colors. Check the link in the description below.